Welcome to our Shield of the Sun video. This is Vince McMahon, part 5. One of the controversial storylines, which controversial is an understatement, Vince's daughter, who is also a mind control victim and Illuminati blue blood named Stephanie McMahon, the future handler and wife of Triple H, got first involved in a WWF storyline. She first appeared playing the innocent sweet daughter of Vince McMahon. Note, daughters of satanic high or middle class families put on a facade of being sweet and innocent, for they are schooled in the arts. So Stephanie started out as being seen this way, and in the storyline she is kidnapped twice by the Satanic Ministry of Darkness. This was the show who is majorly responsible for kidnapping in the US and the world. Satanic groups are. When she is kidnapped the first time, she was found in a skit by Ken Shamrock on behalf of McMahon, who found her in the basement of the stadium. Strange satanic things do in real life go on in the basements of arenas and stadiums that are owned by Illuminati owners. The second time she is kidnapped, a strange thing occurs. The Undertaker tries to marry her through a satanic ritual while she is tied forcefully to a crucifix symbol of the ministry. This disturbing scene was to show how kidnapped victims are taken to be used by occultists in any way they want as well. During the skit, she is saved by Stone Cold Steve Austin in a heroic scene. If only they would do that in real life, instead of playing with people's emotions about it. In late 1999, at a pay-per-view called Armageddon, Stephanie showed her true self in a character when she betrays her father and becomes a now willing wife of Triple H. In the skit, where in real life she became more involved with the behind-the-scenes working of the business, and she got control of the creative department, and she became in that time Triple H's mind control handler, and she guided him on the coming storylines, and she would eventually enter an arranged marriage with him in real life. Although she truly does love him, as it were, they also have a free relationship as well. They see other people. Stephanie and Triple H would become so powerful, they would become top behind-the-scene power players of the WWE. During the storylines of 1999, an unknown character was hyped up and created called the Higher Power, who Shane McMahon, who seemingly betrays his father for the ministry, showing his evil side and the inner rivalries of Illuminati fathers and sons, as him and The Undertaker revere the Higher Power and await his coming and revealing. On an episode of Raw, the ministry would reveal who their higher power was, and a man wearing satanic red sackcloth comes out fully hooded, and when his hood comes off, the person is revealed to be Vince McMahon. This was to show something very real, that the real leaders of secret societies are people you would not suspect, and they do all their evil from behind the scenes, as their orders are carried out by their front people, many of them being public people. The WWE is a satanic corporation. Its members who run are a satanic secret society, and their leader, their higher power as it were, regarding the WWE is Vince McMahon. In 1999 was the Over the Edge pay-per-view, where Vince had Owen murdered as a ritual sacrifice as an act of revenge on Bret, and at that pay-per-view, his satanic sage star wrestler The Undertaker becomes world champion. During a skit, Austin becomes the CEO of the WWF for a little time, where he shows up at the boardroom and torments and bullies real WWF corporate employees, many of them being lawyers, accountants, strategists, market players, and they at the top, they are also Luciferian Freemasons. Austin would berate them in the skit and do other foul things to the office until Vince and Linda got back their company, as it were. This is how Linda McMahon gets more involved in the storylines and shows her true self as an Illuminati wife in an arranged marriage for business. It was at the 1999 King of the Ring when Vince and Shane took on Austin in a handicap ladder match to regain control of the WWF. Austin the next night on Raw would become world champion for the fourth time when he defeated The Undertaker on national television. At the 1999 pay-per-view called Fully Loaded, Austin had a match with The Undertaker where if he won, Vince McMahon would be banned from WWF TV, and so Austin won and Vince and the skit got banned. In the fall of 1999, he returns and begins a feud with Triple H, who was a world champion at the time, and McMahon on September 16th, on an episode of SmackDown on national free television, Vince McMahon takes on Triple H for the world title, and thanks to outside help from Austin, Vince McMahon becomes world champion of his own company. On the following night, on Raw is War on a Monday, he vacates the title, and over the next few months is when Triple H makes a deal with Stephanie behind the scenes, and so now a feud is written, more like pre-written, as Vince feuds with Triple H over Stephanie. The feud storyline culminates at the '99 Armageddon pay-per-view, when Triple H wrestles McMahon in a no-holds-barred match that turned out to be a well-played match. Vince would bring back his evil character in 2000 when he pretends to support The Rock at WrestleMania 16, when at that WrestleMania he would turn on The Rock and cost him the title during the skit just to tell the fans, "I am here to stick it to you." In 2000 was also the McMahon-Helmsley era, which saw Stephanie and Triple H greatly abuse their power in every which way imaginable. They had no shame, no limits to how depraved they could be, and how sadistic they could be, and how cold-blooded they were. In fact, that era resulted in the fame Triple H received as being one of the most hated wrestlers in history. Fans paid money just to see someone pin him or knock him down a peg, and when that did not happen, sometimes full-scale riots happened at some of their shows, and Triple H was nearly attacked on several makings of the program. At the 2000 King of the Ring, McMahon, Shane, and the world champion at the time, Triple H, took on The Undertaker, Kane, and The Rock, with the stipulation that whoever got the pinfall would win the world title. McMahon was pinned by The Rock, who became once again world champion that night. In December, Vince was having a short-lived feud with Kurt Angle, who was world champion at the time, and he did it within under a year's time. On Raw on December 18th, they would have a non-title match, which was not really a match, and when Mick Foley interfered with it, he was beaten up by both Angle and McMahon, as Angle was a heel character at the time, who was oddly funny for a heel. In 2001, a controversial event took place at WrestleMania 17 in Houston, Texas. This WrestleMania was the biggest one they had in a long time. They drew in for its audience over 70,000 people, a number not seen since WrestleMania 8. It became one of the biggest money-making and publicized WrestleManias in history. It had a very anticipated main event match between two of the biggest anti-heroes in the history of the wrestling business. These two were The Rock, who was world champion at the time, and Stone Cold Steve Austin, who won the 2001 Royal Rumble to earn that spot. Their match was one of the biggest matches in history at the time, for the two of them rewrote another chapter in their feud that went to a higher money-making level. At that WrestleMania, there was a lot of well-played matches, and in one of them, which was a rather sick match, Vince took on his son Shane, while seemingly and for real, he was having an adulterous relationship with Trish Stratus, even making her to get down on her knees on national television, and he degraded and greatly abused her, making her bark like a dog, and he would take Trish to his mansion home and make Linda watch as he has sex with her, and uses Linda in a skit to throw it in her face. Welcome to the McMahon household. This ends our video for part 5.